Greetings, it's Shaman. Thank you for tuning in as always. We have some beautiful messages coming through. And as far as I can tell, everyone is having just, we'll just say divine experiences. Different experiences, different energies coming into the earth and integrating. I've been receiving several messages and dreams. So let me see here. Okay, so basically the Earth Shaman Andara has come forward with the message. I'll read the message first and then we will move forward. This is the Earth Shaman Andara. Or at least one of them. The one I have. And the one that provided your message today. So we'll start with the message and then we will proceed with what they are wanting to assist with. So as many of you are becoming more aware by the day, the hour, and the minute of your divine light and origin, we are honored to be of service to your cause, which is our cause as we are one, even though we are a consciousness that have traveled far in regard to space-time to participate and assist you through this great time you know as Ascension. Ascension is not a new concept, as many of you here have assisted in a similar process in other space-times with other star brethren. Today, we have asked to gather to assist with the integrating the energies that are entering your atmosphere and your bodies. Some are having a harder time than they desire, and we have heard your requests for assistance. As you each are on individual paths, we have agreed to assist by an integration of the selenite crystal energy through your spinal column and skeletal structure. This will assist in the flow of energies and steady raise in your vibration without shocking your system too greatly for those who haven't done much healing or are just starting or may even still have entities in their body or your auric field. So entities present in your body or your auric field. At all times, assistance from beings such as us or any external to yourself is to assist with your ability to integrate light and be able to receive the communication from your higher self more clearly. Empowerment and sovereignty comes from the ability to integrate your higher selves to receive clear guidance. We also request that as a collective, you continue to be aware of and aid your many elemental earth kingdoms as they also aid the human kingdom. You are in this together. True unity consciousness also includes your awareness to the connection of all consciousness incarnated on your earth at this time. In service to all that is light and love, blessings and faith to you. Okay, so I will also read the function of the selenite energy. Yeah, here's one of the, I actually have many selenite stones. Oh, look, you can tell this one's been sitting in my singing bowl for quite a while. It's actually turning a little blue. So this is the one I usually use in my singing bowl, unless I'm asked to use a different crystal. selenite also stands for divine light. In the ancient world, selenite protected against wanderings of the mind. It invokes mental clarity and divine inspiration. So just from that statement alone, it's going to help with discernment. Spirituality is vital for you. You are a translucent soul who moves fluidly through time. Use insights wisely. Avoid confusing past with present. You see into people's heart to what motivates them. Do not be manipulated or too eager to please. Stand by what you know. You have the gift of clarity and mental flexibility with the power to make excellent decisions. So still focusing on clarity and discernment. So when you're in a state of clarity, you're in a state of alignment with your higher self, with your higher guides, with higher dimensional beings, angels, and your oversoul. Being in confusion. Confusion is the state of being out of alignment, a state of chaos, a state of, basically disconnection from source. And even the disconnection is temporary. Some choose to experience this disconnection longer than others. So healing insight, be in the flow, strengthens your well-being, shining divine light on the earth. So selenite is a gentle way of transmuting energy. This is why we use a lot of selenite in our healing sessions. It is a gentle means of transmuting and raising the vibration, transmuting clarity, purity, restoration, reintegrating all that is out of alignment back into the light. So, of course, very good with healing sessions, very good with shadow work, integration, healing fractals, reintegration, even like your childhood traumas and things of that nature. So very powerful stone. Let me see what else. Okay, we'll comment on that in a moment. So as of right now, we will play the singing bowl to assist in this integration of the selenite energy into your spinal column. So that includes all of your bones, basically, starting with your spinal column, going up and down, and radiating outwards towards your whole skeletal system. So we're just integrating the selenite energy into the bones. That way everything comes into contact with your bones, your blood, your chakras, all of that, radiating that light energy. And that will help with the assistance in integrating these energies that are entering the atmosphere and your bodies at this time. So just see your, as I start to play, the Andaras will be assisting, and just see that light energy entering your body and covering and coating your bones. And you can imagine this for yourself. You can imagine this for other family members, as this will not interfere with their free will. As the Andara said, they are assisting and helping you to integrate this energy as you are receiving it regardless, and it will assist you in being able to connect and communicate with your higher self more effectively and efficiently. So you can imagine this energy assisting your family members or loved ones or the whole collective. But of course, you always want to start with yourself and radiate outwards to be of assistance to others. also heard a beautiful soft humming, like a crystal frequency in my right ear, so that was nice. And just so you know, there are several of us present on the earth at this time who are considered or have been galactic crystal shamans for quite a while, and have worked with the Andaran and many crystal energies on many planets for quite a while. And on this planet, that would be from Lemurian and Atlantean times. All right, so let's talk about connection with the higher self. So people have to be aware that a lot of times, which we love communication in the English language. However, discernment is still so important. And when you understand that division and confusion are of the tools of the Dark Ones, they actually use the English language very well to cause confusion with labels and terms, and to get people to focus more on labels and terms than actual meaning or feeling or intention, which knowing intention and feeling for the meaning within people's words are actually of a much higher vibration. Intention and what the overall message, what do they mean? But getting focused and carried away on labels, or because one group uses a term differently than another group, oftentimes, especially when connecting with higher or highly evolved beings, and even when I say highly evolved beings or higher, that just means currently presenting. So as of right now, currently, you are presenting, or your perspective is of the earthly experience as a human from the third dimension. Now, mind you, energetically, many of us are fourth and fifth dimensional, at least on average. But either way it goes, you still do not have access to, or you still have not integrated all of your memories or all of your knowledge from the perspective of your higher self or highly evolved beings who have their memories. So, even when connecting with highly evolved beings, a lot of times you have to get a sense of, or an idea of, the way that they use their language. When you're communicating with them with certain terms that you haven't already agreed upon meaning or definition from your perspective, and it may not be the same as theirs. So getting too caught up on words and labels will actually slow the process or limit you. So one of the arguments I've been hearing lately is you're always connected to your higher self. You're always connected to your higher self. Yes, you are. But you also have interference with that connection. Now, there are beings that have chosen to disconnect from their higher selves, or to not be able to hear from their higher selves, or to be out of alignment. And that is what we call the Dark Ones, where they have made a choice to not hear from their light, to not be able to communicate with their higher selves. That is your choice to make. Now, technically, because they've been disconnected so long, yes, it would be a process of integration with them just like anyone else. Do they still have like a spark of light within them that's very dim? Yes, they do. They do have that light. But are they connecting with that light? No, they are not. They've chosen not to. For whatever reason that they chose it, they chose not to. Can they reconnect with that light? Yes, they can. When they reconnect with that light, will they need to feed off of people anymore? No. But they will likely also be asked, when they reconnect with that light, to return to source, as they have a lot of healing and integration to do. So even if you hear, or they say, I've reconnected with my light. And this is like for like Anunnaki and reptilians. Those that have chosen to be disconnected for a very long time, to the point where they had to start feeding off other people, they will be asked to return to source. So they're not going to be asked to stay on the earth and be connected to their light and be honest with you. It's just not how it's going to work. So, for other ones of us who incarnated as a human, many of us have the experience of flowing in and out of that connection. Most of us, especially, as children, we could always hear at times, but it's like a broken clock. You have not worked on the connection. You have not maintained the connection. You have not practiced the connection. So a broken clock is twice a day or something like that? But it's not consistent and it's not at will, which means it takes practice. So just because you can hear sometimes, there's been plenty of times you heard and did not listen. And then there's been plenty of times you just could not hear. So what we're talking about when we are talking about integrating the higher self, coming into alignment with the higher self, is the practice of developing communication, developing trust, developing the knowing that your higher self has a higher perspective and knows your desires, has your highest interest at heart, and knows what you wanted to do before you incarnated. Your higher self knows these things. It is your job to practice being able to hear from it and to integrate it. That is your job. That is your duty. So we're not saying that you're not connected to your higher self, because there is some connection, but have you tuned into it? Can you hear from it? Because if you're on a totally different station, you cannot hear from it. And it serves you no good if you cannot hear, or only hear every once in a while, or only hear where your higher self literally has to yell at you to get you to hear it, because you're about to make some sort of drastic, life-altering, or almost like get into a situation where you risk your life. Because sometimes you'll hear your higher self yell. Sometimes they have to yell to get your attention. And if you're lucky, you'll listen. But they shouldn't have to yell. It takes a lot of energy to do that. They will, but they shouldn't have to. Because if you just work on the connection, you can hear. So like a dream I had recently. I have lots of dreams. If you've been following me for quite a while or connecting with me, you know that I am also considered like a dream walker, or I do a lot of work in dream time. Connect with a lot of people in dream time, assist with missions in dream time. So in this one particular dream, I was one of their spirit guides. It was a group of teenagers. I was serving as their spirit guide. Or at least one of them. I think it was one of the females. But in this dream, she obviously could not hear me. And in the dream, I knew I was not the teenagers I was looking at. I knew I was their spirit guide. So in this dream, they decided they wanted to go visit, not like just a haunted house, but it was a haunted house, but it was like off limits. Like it wasn't open to the public. They basically broke in, and I'm like, what in the world? Why are you doing this? Don't go in there. But like I said, she couldn't hear me. It's tough being a spirit guide when someone can't hear you, because clearly we still had the connection, but she clearly could not hear. So it was a group, maybe 5 girls, 2 guys. There was like 7 of them. They enter this location, this house. Lots of lower vibrational spirits there, lots of wanting to play with the mind, trick their perception, like all kind of stuff they were doing. And I wasn't scared at all, but I think it's because I had the awareness that I was there to assist. But they could not hear me at all. They were going in rooms, things were happening to them, stuff was coming up to scare them. But it was altering like their perception and awareness as well. The 2 guys like disappeared in the dream. And then it's like, I was trying to remind the females or ask them like, where did those guys go? Like your friends are disappearing and stuff like that. And they had like no recollection or memory that they even entered the house with these 2 guys. The female that I felt was the one I was specifically there for. Actually was able to get outside of the house physically, but somehow the house like manipulated her perception. She ended up back in the house. when she was actually outside of the house. But she wasn't aware that she had gotten free from the house. Somehow the house got her back in the house. Or the energies, the spirits. So that was a dream I had recently. It was showing me the perspective of being someone's spirit guide when they cannot hear you. It's actually quite tough on your spirit guides because they want to help you. They love you. They're always trying to talk to you. My spirit guides always trying to talk to me. And at one point, I could not hear them or hear them rarely, or didn't trust them, or, would just make other decisions. Then later on, it's like, oh, I see why I heard that. So, like, the purpose of your guides and your higher self, it's about practice and learning how to integrate and learning how to hear and realizing that they see multiple timelines. They already know what's going to happen before you do it. They can assist you. They can put you on a different path. But they're the ones that are able to see your highest timelines, your highest potential. So if you want to have the best life, the best effect, the most efficient, even just the most joy, like whatever it is you want out of life, if you want to create something, if you want to experience something, your guides, your higher self already know how to have it manifest multiple ways. It's not even just one way. It's not even like if you hear them, darn, it's not going to manifest or you're not going to be able to do it. They will just redirect you. But it is so beneficial to your highest benefit to be able to hear. Oh, and I recently had, so one of my friends, we'll just say his name's Scott. Anyway, but like he's curious, which is fine. It's absolutely fine. And I know that others are, especially if one's asking the question and there's multiple asking the question. So let's try to help with the fear of not connecting with lower vibrational beings. So I did a video. I always share this video I did on discernment because you have to develop discernment. You have to be able to tell the difference. You have to be able to turn within yourself and know what love feels like. So one of the tasks or one of the ways I was learning discernment when I was married, we ended up being together for like 7 years. And I didn't understand it. Of course, my guys were telling me ahead of time, don't talk to him. Don't get involved with him. They were telling me. It's not like they didn't tell me. However, there's multiple reasons for different interactions. So yes, were they trying to warn me that that was not in my highest interest? Yes. However, was it also a contract in helping me to develop discernment and learn many, many other lessons? Yes. Was part of this contract to see if I was strong enough to leave? Yes. However, there was also the possibility if I was able to listen at that time, I could have avoided this situation, because if I was able to listen to the spirit guides and my higher self and my oversoul, it would have demonstrated that I was able to hear and trust the messages and had developed discernment if I had developed it at that time. Obviously, I had not developed it at that time, which is why I proceeded in that scenario or that timeline. But did they give me an opportunity to avoid it? Yes, they did. But I did not understand the messages I was receiving. So therefore, I proceeded down this karmic relationship that almost cost my life. But this timeline or this experience, this contract, he's a handler. That's what handlers do. Their job is to prevent you, if they are able, from awakening. He's a handler with partial reptilian possession, but it's partial, which means his soul is still in his body. Could he receive help or assistance to have this interference removed? Of course. Have I communicated with his higher self before? Yes, I have. But it was still a contract, and part of that contract was growing and learning and realizing that this is not love. It's not love. It's not in your highest interest. It's not in your best interest. It's actually quite karmic and detrimental to your soul, traumatic. So part of my awakening and developing discernment was, the first task was being able to receive the guidance to get myself out of that situation. And it included multiple things that I had to learn and understand and experience. And that include stop listening to all these external sources. There are so many external sources. It didn't matter if it was like family members, the church, belief systems. You're supposed to make your family work and all this kind of stuff. And even his interference or his, telling me his blame and shame games. I'm going to be the one breaking up the family. It's like, no, actually, you're doing all these things. Like you're breaking up the family. Like if I want to rescue myself and the family, like that's my job and that's what I'm supposed to do. It's not to stay with you and keep being traumatized. Like Source, higher self, God, Oversoul, does not condone abuse regardless of the belief systems here on earth, or that it's sinful to divorce and all these other weird ideologies. Eventually, Source just said, what did I tell you to do? And you have to make the decision. Can I hear from Source, and am I going to trust Source? So even being able to get out of that relationship and learning and growing from it was when they started developing my discernment. And it started helping me to see how important it is to be able to hear clearly and taking time for myself. Because a lot of times you're in negative relationships, you want to try to get yourself together, you want to try to get on your own 2 feet, or you want to try to heal and all these things. And sometimes the situations are so karmic and abusive, you can't do that in those situations. You have to remove yourself from the situation and then begin to heal. But either way it goes, because everyone's path is individual, it is most imperative and important to you to quiet your mind and work on your connection. What is your higher self telling you to do? Because they're always trying to talk. But being fearful that you may connect with a lower vibrational being, you've heard and connected with lower vibrational beings multiple times. Anytime you have a negative thought about yourself, anytime you think of committing suicide, that ain't your higher self telling you to do it, which means you're already hearing, and you've been hearing from negative beings for a long time. But if they're making you feel bad, then of course you start, hopefully, eventually developing the discernment to stop listening to them. And that's what I had done. I had started developing the discernment to stop listening to them. So the development of discernment is a process. It's an ongoing process. Feeling someone's intentions towards you. These are different processes. And developing trust for your higher self and your oversoul and your spirit guides and angels. These are processes. So, another beautiful dream that I had recently. What day was this? Maybe Wednesday night? Recently this week. I've had like so many. I was even having weird dreams last night or this morning. Or we don't say weird, we say divine and magical. Nothing weird, nothing crazy. If you still use the word weird and crazy, unless you're using weird in the term of, like our brother Jermaine had shared with us, a master of their own fate. Fine, call yourself a weirdo. Other than that, if you think it's out of alignment or you're like cuckoo or anything like that, stop using those terms towards yourself. Use divine, use magical, anything of a high vibration. Speak high vibrational words towards yourself. Don't use those negative words anymore. So, another dream I had recently, which I've also been getting unique requests this week as we shifted. Like, there was a huge shift in the energy just to bring forward the month of May, which is like all about change, also about structure. So releasing these negative structures in the matrix and belief systems that maintain this paradigm in the matrix in its fallen state. You have to understand that every state, every archetype, every consciousness has multiple aspects. And are you dealing with the lower or fallen aspects, or are you dealing with the higher and ascended aspects? Even when you're talking about the alignment of the planets and the stars and things of that nature. What are you connecting to? Are you connecting to a lower vibrational aspect or a higher aspect? So we're clearing a lot of, like, this is the month of change. Like, we were releasing a lot of energy, dense energy, and now we are replacing. What do we want to experience? How do we envision it? What intentions are we setting? What are we wanting to create? So in the dream, how many of us was it? There were 2 other females. I was trying to pinpoint which 2 it was. I know they were bird tribe. I know that for sure. So 2 female sisters, but then there were 2 males. And I remember in the dream being, because we went to a conference, and I remember being somewhat shocked that my twin was there. It wasn't like his higher self, it was like him, because I know he's not really that interested in conferences or not aware of the work that I do. His higher self is, of course. And then another brother. I believe I know which brother this is, as like the same day, like after I woke up, I actually received a request from this brother that was like in alignment with the dream. So in the dream, and hopefully he's watching, because he might actually get the answer to his question. But in the dream, I was actually filming this brother and his messages. And then my twin was filming us, dialoguing back and forth. In the dream, it was like we were attending a conference, but then I was, I don't know if he was a speaker at the conference or not, but I know for sure, personally, I was filming him and his messages, or messages he was receiving or wanted recorded, and then we were dialoguing about those messages, and then we like dialogued one more time, and then we said goodbye to him. And then me and my twin were like in a car, and he was recording like a last message of just me. So the windows are down in the car, and in flies a bird. And the bird lands on my chest. And so I put my hands around the bird, and the bird was like really wild, flapping its wings. I was trying to, I was communicating with it, trying to get it to calm down. But then it's so funny because like I could feel his energy. So then I was trying to get myself to calm down. So we were both trying to calm down. So I was trying to calm it, but I was trying to calm myself at the same time because it was like I was feeling the bird's energy. And then the bird flew up to like the right side of my neck, and it's still like flapping really wild. And it's like I could feel it like right here on my neck, and it was like so real. And so I was trying to stay calm as well. And then the bird went into the side of my neck. And then as soon as it did that, I was like, oh my gosh. And I woke straight up. Like the calmness went out the window. It was like, ah. Like I don't think I was scared, but it was just like, wow, okay, awesome. Like I said before, like excitement and fear can sometimes like elicit the same responses when you're dreaming. So I woke straight up when a bird went into my neck. So it was like an integration. So definitely, like even that day, the integration was so, I guess you could say strong or powerful, but I definitely slept a lot. I've been sleeping a lot. We've been doing so much integration and transmuting, especially those that are bird tribe. Especially my, like specific, if you're in bird tribe with me, like we are considered like one of our primary, I guess you could say goals or missions or objectives is to assist in transmuting. And it's not just ourselves. Like, I think sometimes we think, oh, we're still like integrating and healing ourselves. Like, oh my gosh, I'm still not done healing myself, which we'll always be integrating and evolving ourselves. But a lot of energy that we will feel is helping to transmute the energy around us in the atmosphere, in like the city. Like some of us are so powerful, we can assist in transmuting whole cities, whole states, whole countries. Like we can send energy to other planets. We can actually do a lot more than we sometimes realize. So we assist with the transmuting of huge amounts and bodies of energy. And that also, even to be able to do that with you, requires that you have integrated enough light energy for one, to flow that much energy through your body, but also to trust your higher self, the oversouls, the angels, the elders, to do that with you. Because if you're still lacking trust, they can't really flow that much energy through you, because you're probably going to be asking a lot of questions, and what are you doing, and whose energy is it, and what are you doing with it, and blah, 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 blah. So you have to have a high degree of trust. You know, as always, of course, when interacting and dealing with anybody, you always invoke your I am source light. I mean, like, the more light we all invoke, the better for us all. And also, you know, as protection, but even just helps in the integration. Always invoke your source light. Always. Always. So, and also, like, I just shared, like, one of Magenta Pixie's messages, which is a message I've given lots of times. I recently was speaking about even the, so like the dark ones. The dark ones keep track of every being that incarnates on the earth that is not of earth origin. So that means if you're incarnated or you're coming from a different dimension, a different star, a different planet, the angelic realms, they see you when you're born, when you portal in. You're literally coming through a stargate to incarnate here. So they keep track of as many as possible. You know, like I said, I didn't realize about half of us, but about half of those incarnated at this time are from another origin other than the earth. So about half are earth origin, which they are powerful too in their own right. They very much are, because they don't want them to wake up. But what we came here to do, we have to wake up and then help them wake up. So they keep track of all of us. And part of their, tactics, of course, divide, conquer, trauma, division, confusion, manipulation, inverting of many systems. But all they can do is invert. All they can do is interfere. That's all they can do. They can't create anything new. They're not even creators. Like, you can't create when you're disconnected from the light, and you can't even sustain your own life force. So all you can do is manipulate and deceive and invert and corrupt, which is why we are here, to restore, to evolve, to put in place the organic systems. The elders hold the keys and the codes and the organic system, the original systems for every planet in creation. So that's why it's so important for you to activate. Awakening, ascension, activation is a process. Even if you're aware that something's going on, that something's out of alignment, that something's not right here, that's a great start. But you have much more to do. If you're aware that this planet was hijacked, that's a great start, but you have much more to do. You know, you have to do your internal work, because obviously if you're here, you have something within you, within your soul, within your DNA, that you need to unlock and share with the collective consciousness. So Magenta Pixie talks about how the dark ones, they've been targeting certain groups using certain tools, especially trauma, to try to maintain the critical mass and try to maintain the lower vibrational timelines, things of that nature, through trauma and inflicting trauma on as many as possible, especially the light beings or those from the higher dimensional aspects of us. This includes like super soldiers, target individuals, and many more groups. And especially when we're going in and having babies or infants through the hospital systems. You definitely you want to avoid the military ones, but you also want to be careful with the regular hospitals. You want to invoke light around your babies, you know, like if you're having them in a hospital. You want to bless them. You want to say loving words, powerful words over them, shield them, imagine light around them. Do these things because it helps, because it's not just physical attacks. You have astral entities and things of that nature that are attacking them and attacking each other. So that's definitely a very important message if you want to hear it, as she explains some of the concepts I have been sharing as well. Let me see. There's also a call for help from the elemental kingdoms. I recently shared Steve Noble's Archangel Ariel meditation, which was very synchronistic from when I received a message or a call from help, for help. So the particular kingdom, there's multiple earth elemental kingdoms. To give you an idea, of course, this includes your fairies, your unicorns, your dragons, your sylphs, your elves, your dolphins, your mermaids, fire pixies, and your insects, your crystals, the elements, metals, all kind of kingdoms. Your bacteria kingdom, you can go from the smallest to the largest, higher dimensions, a lot of different kingdoms. So a request from help has came in from a specific kingdom. When you focus or add your energy to these kingdoms, the elements, Mother Gaia, it benefits all of us as they are assisting us. We are one with them. We are not separate. We are not separate. So do not deny them or, pretend or think it's still foolish to believe in them, because they didn't want you to believe in them. They wanted you disconnected from them just as well as your higher self and source and God. Of course, when I use the term God, I refer to Mother, Father, Source energy and all that is. Not your typical belief systems or dogma where they try to tell you who or what God is. So, if you feel guided to do that meditation or any meditation, get out and ground, touch the nature, touch the trees. They are very much alive and awake and want to communicate with you. With this particular kingdom, we will see with the request how this plays out. From my understanding, there will be more shifts with some of us. Some of us will be moving or relocating to different areas based on the needs of the kingdoms or the grid lines in those areas. I do not feel it is appropriate to name this kingdom at this time, as basically their queen has been attacked and is pretty much dying. So they need assistance, love, healing, and light. Send it to all the elemental kingdoms. All the elemental kingdoms. Hold them in your heart as they're attacked as well, because they're helping to maintain Mother Gaia and the earth and the light here. So we are in unity in this. This is true unity consciousness. So you definitely want to send that kingdom love. Tune in. See if you can be of assistance or if they're sending you messages. I've been receiving several messages for about a month now, but recently when I realized a request had actually been made, of course I asked the Oversoul, like this request, do I still need to answer it, or has my higher self answered it, or what's going on? They're like, yeah, your higher self pretty much already said yes. I'm like, cool, that's awesome. So we'll see how that plays out and how that goes and what that means for me, at least on I guess you could say on a physical realm or nature. So more messages to come forward. I'll keep you updated as I'm updated when I'm able to share, what that means or how how we're able to assist them, me as an individual and us as a collective, as even all the missions are done collectively. With our higher selves in groups. So I'm not aware of too many individual missions where it's just like one person saving the world, and it doesn't work like that. Especially you have to think of unity consciousness. Like we're here to support and assist each other. That's how I awakened. That's how I was activated. It's just how it works. We made agreements. We would help each other at this time. This person would do this person would activate that person. And it just ripples like that until all the lights are flickering and they're on and they're staying on. And You know, we just shift this planet right on up to its ascended aspect. So I love and honor you. If you feel guided to have a reading, message me. If you feel guided to have an angelic universal regression alchemy session and you feel you're ready, you want to know your origin, you know, want to raise your vibration, want to integrate more crystalline energy for your crystalline body upgrade, want to have that interference removed, want to just be able to ask your higher self questions, and definitely in integrating your higher self, you know, definitely message me. If you would like to join the Galactic Travelers of the Light group, message me, you know. So we're doing this together. I have faith in you. I love you. I honor you. And we're doing this thing together. Have a beautiful day.